NFL quarterback, what would you do for a job?
Oh man. Well, is this going back to? Well, I like to think I would use my Purdue industrial management degree in some way. Yes. Well, really, baseball was my first sport. I wanted to be a professional baseball player. So football was just kind of a side gig. I'll just talk about the next chapter. I don't know what the next chapter holds, other than family first and foremost. They have sacrificed so much for me to be able to do what I do now that I don't want to miss a second with them and everything that they have going on when I'm done playing. So I plan to coach everything I possibly can with my kids. My oldest son just started playing lacrosse. I don't know a thing about lacrosse. I mean, that's a Northeast thing, right? But I didn't know a thing about lacrosse until last year, and it has now become my favorite sport. Yep. Lacrosse is my favorite sport. And so I'm trying to learn it so I can get out there and coach a little bit, and just another excuse to be with my oldest son more. Whatever my daughter, I'm afraid what my daughter's going to get into.
Gymnastics and dance.
Yeah, she's gymnastics and dance right now, so I'm going to have to get my Herschel Walker.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I just want to coach my kids and be with my family.
Have you ever considered politics?
I have. I think the opportunity, truly, you talk about, they say politics is being a public servant, right? I mean, truly, that's. I don't think that most politicians view it that way, unfortunately, but that is truly what you are. You represent your community, right? You represent the people, and so I think there's no greater honor. I mean, it'd be like being a team captain, right? It's like being a team captain. You represent your team, right? You have to be the voice for them. And so I would take that as a great responsibility and great honor. Will I do it? I'm not sure. I'll give it consideration. I'm not going to close the door on anything. But I think that's a great responsibility that comes with that.
Should we write in ballot? Favorite time of the day?
Morning. 4 to 6 a.m.
Yes, sir.
4 to 6 a.m.
What happened between 4 and 6 a.m.?
The rooster's up.
Yes!
Hey, so you guys are very familiar with the TD videos, right? What you doing right now? So I had to put my own little spin on one. I think it was last year, the year before. I'll get one of these videos from TD, and it may be 4:45 or 5, and it's always the best if I've been up for like 45 minutes, And I'm even on I'm on that second cup of coffee, and I'm just like, man, I am like being productive, and I'm getting things done, and everybody's quiet in the house, everybody's asleep, and I'm just getting a jump on the day, and then I'll send them a video right back. And last year was, basically saying, I am the rooster. And so I was just in Hawaii, and I sent you that video. There was this rooster that would always come to our door, the place we were staying, probably because the people that were there previous were feeding him. So he would come, and he would right outside the bedroom window and wake Brittany up every morning. Well, I was already up. So one time one morning I got the video, and I tracked this rooster, and it was like, here I am, TD. The rooster's coming after you.
Try to have fun. Last question. Is impact, legacy. You don't have to be here on a Saturday early afternoon, and you're here. We talk about legacy: live inspired, master your craft, play at world class, take action, condition for greatness, and be tenacious. To me, that's the legacy. At the end of the day, hopefully many, many, many years from now, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want to be known as somebody that left it better than when he found it. So if I could take that approach to every aspect of my life, not just football, but family and community and every situation I ever find myself in, every endeavor that I train for or chase after, any occupation that I may have, if the goal and the objective and the mindset every day is to leave it better than when you found it, then I feel like you have accomplished something. You have left a legacy. You have created impact. You've made a difference.
Wow. There it is. The impact legacy. We got 2 rapid fire questions. Ready your hand? Rapid fire. I need the microphones on that. Andrew Simpson. Nice and loud. Microphones. Get the next one ready.
Drew, I'm grateful that you're here, and I did not think you were a mystical unicorn before coming here, so thanks for being here. So my team and I were on a mission to make the sports industry and the entire sports performance industry one that God is proud of, because we see a lot of the problems that exist in it, and we're trying to solve some of those problems. You said, so one of those problems is the burnout rate of youth athletes is crazy high, and joy for sports is very low. That's what we see. And TD asked you about why you still play football, and you said, well, number one, it's because I still love the game. So I wrote down, I just started to write some stuff, and I wrote down, why does Drew still love the game of football? And you can correct me if I'm wrong on some of this. And I wrote down, it's not because he's so good, or because he's never had bad coaches, or because he's been injury-free, or because he wins all the time, none of those things. I wrote down it's because your perspective. And then I wrote down, how has he developed such a strong perspective to where sports haven't deterred you from loving them in any way. And I wrote down things like, your mentors, great coaches who care more about you as a person than they do about your arm strength. You train your mind, you train your emotions, you train your spirit, in addition to the physical. Are there any other things that you feel like have allowed you to have the perspective that you have on sports?
I feel like there's so many things, and I'm trying to narrow it down to something, like a really specific takeaway. So let me go back to something you said earlier about kids getting burnout, the burnout rate being really high with sports. I think that the problem with youth sports right now is that things get too serious too fast, right? And I'm not going to pick on baseball, but I'll just use travel baseball as an example, right? There's kids that are playing baseball year-round at age 10, right? Because somebody told their coach who told them that they're not going to get recruited 8 years from now if they don't play travel baseball now, right? And so they're going to pitch 3 times a week now for the rest of their life, and eventually they're going to have arm problems and burnout before they ever even get to high school, right? So I guess the point with that is that, and this is part of what we're trying to create, not just with football in America, but with the basketball element, potentially a lacrosse element, potentially a soccer element, is that the idea for sports for kids is to be fun and to teach them life lessons, to help them gain confidence. That's probably been one of the most enjoyable things for me, is taking a kid who comes there and is really quiet and reserved and timid, and by the end of the season, all of a sudden, they realize that they have an important role on the team, and that they come out of their shell and they begin to develop confidence and they begin really having fun. And then they say, man, I can't wait till next year, right? And that's what you want. You want them to continue to come back, right? Now listen, I am as competitive as it gets out there. I have to calm myself down a lot of times because I tell the kids, hey kids, we're having a good time, and in my mind I'm thinking, we're winning this dang game. So there's a balance.
Love it.
But it's good. I mean, you learn a heck of a lot more from losing at this age, right? And so I got to tell myself that too whenever we lose and I'm all bent out of shape about it, is that use this as a teaching opportunity. Use this as a teaching opportunity. So you try to give them a message as you're wiping the tears out of their eyes, right? But then it's something that they remember and they hold on to, and it was something that, it was the adversity that they became stronger from, right? So my advice to everybody, and I say this to every parent too, is try to get your kids to play as many sports as possible for as long as they possibly can. In other words, there's no reason to specialize at any point unless you absolutely have to, right? Because that's how you keep the sports fun, and I think that's how you prevent from being getting burnt out. Now, once you get to college and into the pros, obviously things get a lot more serious, right? I mean, this is a job, right? You go to work every day. You're expected to be there at a certain time, man. It's long hours, especially during the season, and it's a grind, right? But again, I think that's where the goals and the objectives come in. And it's, if I have the goal and the objective that I'm trying to attain, then I don't think about the grind. I don't think about the pain, right, of the injury or feeling like an old man sometimes, you know? I'm focused on, eyes on the prize, right? I'm focused on the goal, focused on the objective. And so that's how and then what I've told myself now late in the latter part of my career, understanding that, hey, I'm more towards the end than I am in the beginning, is that I do want to enjoy the little things. I don't want to let it pass me by, you know. So maybe I'll spend an extra minute or two in the locker room, just kind of look around and watch the guys laugh and tell jokes and engage in it a little bit, you know, and just take a little more time to enjoy the road trip, you know, on the plane ride home, instead of putting my earphones on and watching a movie or something like that, you know. So enjoy the little things, and then be so goal oriented that you're focused on accomplishing it, whatever it is you set out to accomplish. And if you aim high enough, and even if you fall a little bit short, you can still accomplish something great. My goal this year was to complete 76% of my passes. We completed 74.4. So it's still an NFL record. It wasn't quite my goal. I mean, I'm being dead serious. I'm being dead serious. It was 76%. So I'm a little upset that we didn't get there. We still broke an NFL record. There's always next year. You better get it. But that's and aim high, dream big, and never be deterred from falling short. Because again, you feel like, man, each step of the way is part of the journey. Right? It's part of the journey. It's part of the process, and that's where you're molded and strengthened into who you were meant to be.
Jeff Wade, quick.
I want to share a behind the scenes story and a question following this. But I share this story with all of my athletes and even my normal clients but they just need it that day. But 3 years ago, Todd gave me the opportunity to spend a week with your Saints and Eagles at the same time, training over the summer. The Eagles had just drafted Wentz. They had Bradford and Chase. They didn't really have a leader. But all week, the vibe was different between the Saints and the Eagles. You guys were on, they were a little all over the place. I remember this story. I had Brandon Cooks on the table, stretching him, and I was like, dude, like, what's the deal with you guys? Like, you guys are hustling, and the Eagles kind of seem like they're all over the place. And Brandon said to me, dude, we don't have a choice. Like, look at our leader. It all starts with Drew. And that just resonated with me. Like, we look at you guys and we're like, oh, their quarterbacks are this, they're that. But, like, that just stuck in me as a leader, and all of us are leaders, that every day we go to work and we have to be thermostat. So we have to be on. So to know that that's you was just something that just, like, I took that home. Out of all the cool things I got to do that week, like, that went home with me. And it's an everyday thing for me now to think, like, you know, it all starts with Drew, so why can't it all start with me? So question to you is, I pretty much know the answer, how does that stick with you? Is that always your mindset? Is that sit there, and knowing your character is probably just you, but is that in your head every day?
No, it is, and that was number one on the leadership description, right? Is never ask somebody to do something you're not willing to do yourself. So if those guys are working out with me, I can't sit there and say, hey, man, one more rep, you know, a little bit harder, a little bit faster, whatever it might be, if I'm not doing it myself, right? And I know that there's a great quote out there that's, your action speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying, right? So in most cases, I don't need to say a word in there. But man, if I'm busting my butt and I'm going 1,000 miles an hour, those guys see it, they feel it, and they know they got to keep up. And that's how you set the bar. That's how you set the standard. Man, it's not going to be perfect, but I think when you establish that, and then you also let those guys know how much you care about them and how much you want them to succeed. I have all my receivers, tight ends, running backs write down their top 3 goals in the offseason and give them to me. And I say, I want to know these guys because I want to help you achieve them. I want to do whatever I can to help you guys achieve your goals, your personal goals. You want to catch, 100 balls this year? Man, I'm going to do everything I can to get you 100 balls within the framework of winning the game, right? or get you 1,200 yards, or whatever it might be. It's okay to have those personal goals, right, within the framework of the team and of winning. But especially when I see guys working. And training and battling and scratching and clawing, it makes me want to work harder for them.
Mm-hmm. Gary, we got last two.
First and foremost, thank you for taking time away from your family and on your weekend to be here for us. So, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Second of all, I'm curious sitting there watching. I've been a football fan forever, and yeah, I'm devastated because I am a Dolphins fan, and I think it's karma because we haven't won anything since we didn't accept you in the first place. but when you're sitting there, you've got the mindset and you've got the discipline. But what I would love to understand is what keeps you mentally tough. Like when I'm watching that last game after that horrific call and hearing NFL announcers say, yeah, well, think of the position Drew's in. He is 40, so how much more football does he have? And would you please slap that comment and put it to rest?
Yeah. That's so we had a saying this year, and it was Sean Payton and I obviously have a great relationship. He was the reason I was in New Orleans. He was the guy who saw me, who wanted me there despite the shoulder and everything else. And he's an unbelievable judge of talent. He's an unbelievable. He's unbelievable at knowing exactly the mindset of the team in just about every circumstance or situation, and then finding ways to get the best out of everybody. And each off season, I know he puts a lot of time and thought into it, and in collaboration with our conversations and everything, where he'll kind of come up with a saying that he feels like is appropriate for our team. And before this season, he said that the saying was "prove them right." Everybody is used to having this chip on their shoulder of prove them wrong, right? But prior to this season, everybody was picking us to go to the Super Bowl and all these other things. And so he's like, all right, everybody's picking us to be great, man. Let's prove them right. But really more so, all the people in your life who have believed in you, who have been there for you, who have given you the opportunities to reach the level that you are right now. Do it for them. Don't worry about the naysayers. Don't worry about the people that don't. Prove those who do believe in you right. And so I think we all believe as a Saints team that we're going to come back strong. And so it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks about my age or anything else. If we believe we can do something, we can do it. So prove them right.
Last one I want to do is this. I want to end with someone who sees this day in and day out as well. I want to go to Jen Lamont. And Jesse, can you bring this up to Jen? Jen's with the Mastermind for 10 years, and she and her kids are huge Saints fans. And Jen?
Thank you so much for being here. I have had the pleasure and honor of watching Drew and his integrity over the past 13 years as someone who has grown up in New Orleans, and my whole family was dislocated after Hurricane Katrina. Drew instilled hope in the city. It started with Steve blocking that punt, and just what this man does that you don't know about, that you don't see. I mean, my children have taken pictures with you. If he's in the airport and you're with your kids, he stops, he signs stuff, he takes pictures. Every Saints game, he signs right where you walk out. My kids have gotten things signed right there, pictures taken, and he signs every single one, and then he flips the switch. It's game time, focus is on, and so thank you. I wish I had better words, but thank you so much. I just want to know, like, First of all, I love all the videos on social media in the locker room with Sean Payton doing the sweep, doing the Sean Payton, like, when you start talking about that he has like the speakers and the DJ, that's freaking awesome. But I just want to know, like, a fly on the wall with you and Sean Payton, like, you were talking about how well y'all know each other, how well he knows the team. I love when he makes those gutsy calls and the stupid commentators like, I don't know why we make this call, blah, blah, blah. Like, just give us a little more insight into that.
It's not like a commentator. Are you saying how much influence Drew has with Sean, like on making calls?
Yeah, like, I mean, y'all definitely
Just the
collaborate.
overall
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
It's funny because people joke around like we're an old married couple. Kind of hard, you know. Like I'm sure we get on each other's nerves, you know, from time to time. But I would say that the thing that just completely set the tone with Sean and I back in 2006 was, here is a young, first-time head coach stepping into a really, really tough situation,
Yeah.
right? Hired by the New Orleans Saints, 6 months post-Katrina. You know, the roster is, he had to get rid of about half the team because they weren't the right type of guys to build what he wanted to build. He had to completely kind of revamp the culture and the environment. And so you would think that for me coming in as a quarterback, especially with an offensive-minded, strong personality type coach would be, and he was a Bill Parcells disciple, which means hard, tough-nosed, like my way or the highway kind of a thing. You know, that's what I expected stepping into this thing was, here's my offense, here's my playbook, learn it, right, and do what I say. But it was quite the contrary. I remember sitting down for our first kind of install session, and it was, all right, here's basically my version of the West Coast offense. Here's all these concepts. I think we will be really good at this. I think you'll be really good at this. And then here's all this stuff in San Diego that you ran that I'm not real familiar with, but I want this to be in the offense because I know that you're good at it. I know you're comfortable with it because I've seen it on film. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, what'd you call that play? Oh, we call that play, you know, Flutie. Yeah, we had a play named after Flutie. We call that play Raider. We call that play this, that. He's like, okay. And he literally verbatim, that became the play call within our offense. So we really built that offense together. He allowed me, you know, that much opinion and influence on it. And so right from the start, I felt like this guy's truly building this offense around me and my strengths and my abilities. He's trying to put me in the best position to succeed. And I think that kicked off the whole relationship. And I think the thing I love about Sean is, man, he is aggressive. You know, Sean, we go into every game plan with a ton of shot plays and trick plays and all this other stuff. And then you kind of wait and see when might be the right opportunity to use it. But you know, that's where the constant communication throughout the week is taking place. Like, hey, Sean, what do you think about this flea flicker? Oh, I'm telling you, it's 2nd and 10 across the 50-yard line. You know, we're going to get, you know, this type of shell defense, and it's going to be the perfect look. And so, you know, that, and then there's 20 other examples of those types of plays. And sure enough, we cross the 50. Here we are. I hand the ball off to the running back. We get hit for a 2-yard loss. It's 2nd and 12. Oh, they're going to be conservative. Here comes the flea flicker, right? You know, so one where you can hand off, the safeties come up, and then we get the big play. So he's always looking for, he always recognizes, he's always anticipating those types of calls and situations. So I know the call's coming in before it even comes in. And you were talking about cooking, right? And being on the same page. Like that's when you really start operating fast, and you just have this belief that he's going to call it this time, and it's going to work. The onside kick in the Super Bowl, he had a name for that. We call that ambush. That whole week leading up to the Super Bowl, he said, it's not a matter of if I'm going to call this, it's when. So right away, he put us all on alert. We're calling this. And he's like, and it's going to work. We'll call it the right situation. It's going to work. And so, again, it's like trying to take the pressure off everybody. Like, oh, don't worry. We'll call it the right time. It's going to work. Right? And so then everybody just knew, all right. So we go into halftime, and Super Bowl's a long halftime. It's like 40 minutes long. They got concerts and everything going on. So we take our pads off, eat turkey sandwiches, and he's like, all right, guys, ambush, kick it off the second half. There's no problem. We're just eating turkey sandwiches, saying, all right, we're going to kick an onside kick in the Super Bowl, we're going to get it, we're going to go down and score and win the game. So just stuff like that, where he just instills confidence, and you talk, you communicate, you know what's coming, you know what's happening before it happens. It's a rare quality, unique quality. It's what makes him so great.